I have prepared 10 fresh tips and tricks for Pixelmator Pro. How can we blur only backdrop in Pixelmator Pro? So here I am, I loaded my image already. You can see the image in the layer panel. What I need to do now, I need to duplicate this one. The easiest way is to right click and select duplicate. Okay. Now I will hide the copy that is above and simply blur the one below. Head for Format, Effects, Blur. We can have basic Gaussian blur in this case. And then you just move this slider on the right to increase the radius of the blur. In my case, I think around 20 pixels will do. Alright, now let's go back to the image at the top. This is the one that is still sharp. What we need to do here, we need to simply remove the backdrop so we can see the backdrop from the below image, the blur one. So head to the top on the right side. There's a special icon now to remove the backdrop with just one click. Let's try that first. And here it is. We got a sharp foreground, the person from the first image, and the blur backdrop from the second one. As you can see, there are a few details that did not remove well. Like I got few leaves here at the top. If that's bother you, instead of just use like auto backdrop remove, we can do it with the more manual control. So let's try that as well, a bit more advanced, but we'll get a greater detail. So I will undo using Command Z shortcut, and instead of using this very basic auto remove for the backdrop, we'll try to select the person and remove the backdrop around. So I pick a selection tool on the right here, and we can go with select the subject of this photo. Now we see the selection tool marquee around, and we can also modify it. We don't need to go with it like in the previous example. So now I can change the selection tool to quick selection tool, and I got this little brush that I can use to add or subtract from existing selection. So let's start with add. I recommend to zoom a bit. I want to add this area here. All of that. Okay, this is part of her head as well. We got very similar color to backdrop, so it's hard to blame the AI here. Okay. And now we got too much on this area. I want to remove that from the selection, so I change to subtract mode, and now I can remove those leaves that we saw before. Alright, here's something. Again, I switch to add, and this one should be part of the selection. Alright, and here as well. This is what we call low contrast picture, so the subject is got very similar colors to backdrop in some areas, right? So that's always a challenge. That's why I need to do some manual fixes here. Okay, that's the final check here as well. Almost missed this one, her neck. Okay. So this gives us more control than just basic backdrop remove. And that's exactly what we need. Extra zoom in if you are not sure. Okay, this one will require a very gentle subtract. Just like that. Okay. And with that, we can now move this to a new layer or create a mask for existing one. So let's zoom out and use this existing selection around this person to create a mask for this layer simply by clicking add mask here in the layer panel. Add mask, and here it is. We got a mask. Click done, and we got better result this time. Keep in mind, we still got this blur image as the first layer, so that gives us the blur backdrop around the person, and we got this one, the mask, that allow us to only see the person, the subject of the photo. So that's how you blur only the backdrop. Now you are ready to save it as the brand new picture. Simply File, export. Let me show you how we can fade out an image so it will gradually disappear into transparency. As you can see, I got my image loaded already in Pixelmator Pro. What I need to do next is I need to add a mask to it to mask the part of it. There is a very handy mask menu now in the layer panel. Click on that menu and then add mask. By default, our mask is simply white, showing everything. We need to put a gradient on that white mask, not on the image, but on the mask. Take a look. Now the image is selected, now just the mask. So select the mask, grab the gradient tool from the right, black and white, and simply apply that. The black color is totally invisible. The white one, just a plain image, 100% visible, 100% of opacity. And everything in between, all of the grays in between black and white, that's the gradual transparency. So we can do it over here and like that, so it gradually disappear to the edge. Of course, if you are not interested into disappearing your image into transparency, you can make it into a solid color. To do that, we simply put a new layer below the image. So let's add a new layer. Place that layer below at the very bottom, and we can fill this layer with a solid color if you like. Or you can place another image here, and this way we can kind of merge two images. But for this example, I will just use the color fill and I will put the color there. Alright, so thanks to this mask over here, the image is fading into this blue color. Without this layer, I can just fade it into transparency and save it as PNG. What if I want to fade the image on all sides? Kind of like a frame, blurry frame. We can still use the mask. Let's take a look. So again, I add a mask. It's white. And then I will select the whole image. So holding command, I click on the mask and I got the selection like that. What I want to do right now, I want to shrink the selection. I want the selection to be smaller. So I can do it manually just by shrinking the selection by hand. Just like that. And then I want to invert the selection. Head to Edit, Invert Selection. And now we got opposite. We got this area kind of outside that rectangle selected. And that's what we're going to fill with a black color. Again, I'm working with the mask. Alright. Now we can deselect. I like to use Command D to deselect. What I need to do now, I click on the mask and I'm just going to blur this mask. So we head to Format, Effects, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And now we just need to add a radius here. And we got the smooth transition all around on four sides into transparency. It's like the image is disappearing on all four sides. Alright, so that's how you do it. You can fade in the image into transparency by adding a black and white gradient to your mask. You can also do a soft black color all around, as I just did, if you want to fade it from all four sides. The final touch is to export this as brand new PNG with the transparent backdrop. How can we change the color of the object, something in the picture, the whole picture, the backdrop color? There are many questions and also there are many solutions to this problem, alright? So let's explore few cases today, changing, adjusting the color of different objects, different areas in the image. I already load my image here to Pixelmator Pro. Now I can open up the Tools menu at the top and head straight to Color Adjustments. That's the obvious place to go first. It should pop up the Color Adjustment menu on the right. As you can see, it's also in the Tool panel here as the third tool, Color Adjustments, shortcut A. Alright, and they will have some default presets for us that we can just click to alter colors. Keep in mind there's more than one group here, so we can go to like classic films when you've got some kind of oversaturated sepia-like adjustments. So that's something that you may be familiar with from different apps. So they're pre-made filters, you can say. We can see the whole histogram here, and that gives us a chance to actually adjust some areas ourselves. We can reduce the exposure to make it a bit darker. But we don't need to do it for the whole image. We can do it just for shadows, or just for highlighted areas, Alright, so there are multiple sliders here that will help you adjust the colors in your image. But I know that some of you will need more than that, so let's head to selective color at the bottom. Now I can recolor, let's say, yellows. I click on yellow, and the first slider for hue, I move them to be red. Take a look. Now my yellow color become more like orange, more like red. I can do the same with the orange color. And if I go too far, I'll go into pink. So I literally change the color of part of the image only because the white wall is still white, the sky is still blue, because we're using selective color adjustments. So if I click the blue, I can move it into greens. Take a look, I got green sky now, but this pink I made before, it's still here. Alright, if you mess it up, you can always click this reset button and we're back to the default selective colors. So this is actually one of the easiest way of adjusting part of the image. Alright, pick the color that you want to adjust and then move the first slider to change the color of it. Alright, so I can make this reds pink or I can make them yellow. Or all the way down here. Almost like a greenish yellow. You can move the saturation as well. This way you can also desaturate certain colors. Take a look, I can make them gray. So you select like different colors, you can desaturate them completely and you end up with this very nice effects of like selective color, only like one color in the image. Alright, so as you can see now, I desaturate multiple colors except yellows and oranges. So now I got only gray, yellow and orange. Alright, so we recolor the object here. Okay, that's all nice, but what if you want to recolor just certain area of the image? Let's reset that. In that case, you will need to use some kind of selection tool. For example, we can select a classic selection tool, oval selection, lasso selection, and there's also a color selection tool. So you can literally click on the color, click and hold to change the tolerancy, and it's highlighted with this white thing. Okay, so let's say I select this area only, and then I apply adjustments only to that area. As you can see, it's affect only this selected area. So you don't need to work with the whole image. You can make a selection first. There are multiple selection tools and work only with that area of the image. Alright, so that's all about the image. How about if I want to change the color of the shape or a text? That's even easier, because if you got a shape like this rectangle, you can always go back here to properties and recolor this any moment. And the same thing with the text. If you got text in your project, you can always select the text and the color is here on the right side in properties. You can change the color always until you export this into JPEG or PNG. Of course, in that case, all of the layers will be baked in. Alright, so that's how you can modify colors of objects, text and shapes in your Pixelmator Pro project. What is the easiest way of adding border around the image in Pixelmator Pro? Select the image and then select the second tool on the list called Styles. From here you can click Add Style, and the style we want to use right now is called Stroke. As you can guess, it will make stroke around the shape, text or any other object. So Stroke. And now I got this thin black line around. Let's make it a bit thicker by adjusting this value here, how many points the line should have. We can change the color of it so it's a bit better visible here for us. We can pick any color from this spectrum here. Okay, you can adjust opacity if you like. And we can adjust the style of the line here. From where we can also change how the line is attached to the image. It's at the center, inside the image area, or outside the image area. So if you want to kind of cover the whole artboard like that and you put outside, you cannot see the image because the image is outside the picture. In that case, you must switch that. You must click on the line and switch this to inside the image. Alright, I will scale it back down a bit and modify more options here. So we can decide how the corner will be. It will be square or rounded. We can change it from here. We can decide about the end of the line, or we can even change the line to be a dashed line, just like that. Alright, so that's how we can put a bit of stroke, outline, a bit of border around your images. If this is not good enough for you, you need more control, Get rid of that, and instead of using this default stroke, use a shape under the picture. So go to the shape menu, and we can search for shapes. In our case, I will work with a basic rectangle, and I draw a shape behind the picture. Just drag it behind the layer panel, and now I can control it a bit better. We can size it exactly as we need. Take a look. I can make this bottom part of this border like larger, so it gives us this Polaroid-like feel. And of course, I can now attach different effects and style to that object, that rectangle that's below the image. So I can put, I don't know, drop shadow on it if I like. Okay, and the image is not affected by this because it's on the separate thing. Alright, so method number 1, click on your image and add style called stroke. If that's not good enough, you need more options to customize it. Just draw a shape under the image that will work as our border. How can we add a drop shadow effect to our objects in Pixelmator Pro? Select the object and then hit Styles. That's the second tool on the tool panel list on the right. From here, you'll be able to add new styles, clicking this blue button, Add Style. And you can choose from 4 styles. We can add extra fill color, stroke around the object, inner shadow, or drop shadow. So that's the last one we need today. I add a drop shadow, and now I can control it. Take a look, it's now on. I can switch this off or on, whatever I need. I can even delete it completely. And we can decide about the distance from the object, so offset. We decide how blurry is the shadow. We can decide about the angle by moving this little point on the circle. Opacity of the shadow, and finally the color of the shadow itself. Alright, if you feel like you mess up and you want to start over with your style panel, you can click Reset Style. It will be back to very default one. It's exactly the same process for the text. Click on the text, Add Style, Drop Shadow, and now we got the very same functions. If you feel like you need more control of your shadow, instead of using the style like that, we can make a duplicate of the object, so Command C, Command V. I got this copy of the object. Change the color of the object itself, change it to black, and now we can apply a blur effect on it. So head to Format, Effects, Blur, Gaussian Blur will do, and now we can blur this. We can control the radius on the right side. And it's exactly as our shadow before, but this time we got more control. We can change the size of it, we can rotate this around. Just be sure this is behind the main object, so I need to drag this behind the main text. Alright, and of course you can always reduce the opacity of it as well. Just put the opacity slider down while the correct layer is selected. And this way you can make some kind of drop shadow, but kind of manually. It's a bit more work, but you got more control of the shadow, right? So that's beneficial if you got very specific shadow in mind. Let me show you how to merge layers to flatten your image. You will have to select more than one layer. You can do it here in your artboard just by using mouse and selecting objects just like that. Or if you prefer to select from the layer panel directly, just hold Shift and then you can select them one by one. Alright, I got 3 layers selected. I just right click in the layer panel and you will see a new feature, Merge. If you cannot see option to merge, means you did not select multiple layers, alright? So once again, undo, select them here on the artboard or in the layer panel, up to you, and then right click in the layer panel and merge, and this way you flatten all of those layers into just one pixel-based layer now. So I cannot edit this text anymore, and this is not a vector shape anymore. Everything is rasterized into a flat image. How to flip images and objects in Pixelmator Pro. The easiest way is to select the object you want to flip, and then be sure the Move tool is still selected here on the right. So we can head down here to Rotate, and next to the rotation wheel you will see Flip. You can flip horizontally and vertically as well. Alternatively, you can directly right click on the object, and with the short menu you will see also option to flip horizontally and vertically at the bottom. Did you know that you can open a video file in Pixelmator Pro? simply hit Browse Files on your Mac and select the video. Like this MP4, it will load as normal picture, but you may notice in the layer panel you got video layer, and also you got this play button here that will play the video. If you click those three dots, you will see the whole timeline for this video, and from here you can actually trim the beginning and the end of the video, so you can do some basic video editing from Pixelmator Pro as well. If you like to mute the original audio, you can do it here as well, just with one click to mute it. Keep in mind, you can add additional layers above this video layer. So for example, I can use the text tool and I will have this watermark text kind of above the video. So when I export this again as a new version, as a new MP4, there will be text on it. So that's going to be a pretty effective way of adding a little watermark or something like that to a video. Also, most of the tools that works with like normal pictures will work here as well. So if you head straight to like color adjustments, I can select those pre-made filters. Take a look. And it's affecting the whole video. Or you can manually go all the way down here to sliders and change the exposition, shadows and highlights by hand. So yes, it is possible to do some simple video editing in Pixelmator Pro. Keep in mind, this program is mostly for editing photos, but you can load a video file just fine. How can we curve the text in Pixelmator Pro? The best way of curving the text is to simply put it on the path. So we need to use Shape or a pen tool to draw a path for the text first. I'm going to use pen tool. I will click here, click and hold, and click here. Now I'm going to press Escape on my keyboard to stop drawing. I don't need to draw anymore. Escape, done. I don't need any fill color. Let's put the stroke color for now so you can see where my path is. The path is simply a line I draw with the pen tool. Now I can copy this text, and while the text tool is still selected, click on that path here and paste the text. And here it is, our text is on the path. Keep in mind, you can slide it left to the right. Let me just make the text a bit smaller so we get more room to do just that. Okay, I can push the text to this side of the path or other way around. Don't worry about this big black line because we can switch off this fill color any moment. You can also switch off the visibility of the layer of this path as well, over here in the layer panel. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. Keep in mind, if you press and hold typing tool, you will see you got several options. Normal typing, typing on the circle, typing on the path, and freeform typing. In this case, you will skip the first step when I actually make a path, draw a line myself. If I select path typing, now they pre-select the special pen tool for me when I can click, make a path. Now I press escape and the text appear on this path. Kind of automatically, you could say. Alright, so I show that with the line so we get understanding of this method, but you can do it without drawing the line first, and that's a really handy addition. Same for the text on the circle. Here it is, and now we draw the circle, and in the moment that you release your mouse, finish drawing, you will have the text on the circle. You can modify all of the properties like font, color, size of the text here on the right side. Alright, so that's how easy it is to put the text to the path and in result curve the text. There are two ways. You can draw the path first or shape first and then put the text on it, or use those tools that will allow you to draw it in the process. Hey guys, some of you asked me in the comments about Pixelmator Pro for Windows. Unfortunately, this software is only available for Apple computers, and there's no plan to release this on Windows. Moreover, recently Apple itself offered to buy the company that owns the software, so that will probably happen very soon. They even put this announcement here at the very top on the official page that Pixelmator team plan to join Apple. So that would be very much Apple exclusive software. And I already noticed some scammy apps advertising themselves as Pixelmator Pro for Windows. I found even one for Android, and careful about that. All of them are just fake viruses or whatever they put in those fake apps. Don't download them. There's some links you can find in Google. There are even some videos that put links in the descriptions. All of that is fake. All right. Here I am on the official website in 2025, and as you can see, if you click buy, it takes you straight to the App Store for Mac. All right. So keep that in mind. It's available only for Apple systems, and that's it. And they're going soon be joining like the Apple family. They'll be like first-party software from Apple. So sorry, there's only Apple version, and careful about all of those fake apps. Don't download them. Some kind of scary, shady stuff inside them.